The reserve requirement, open market operations, federal funds, a discount rate, and your x-axis, quantity of money, GDP real or GDP adjusted for inflation and business investment. Y-axis, price level, interest rates, and trade weighted exchange rate. What we're trying to do is slow the economy down. We're going to slow the economy down. What is the Fed going to do about banks? And mind you, they don't always use all three policies. But what might they do in terms of banks being able to lend money out? What would they do to their ability to lend money out? The reserve requirement they will increase. What about discouraging overloaning or loaning beyond 90%? Yeah, raise federal funds, discount rate. Federal funds is who? Who to who? Bank to bank. Good, because it's counterintuitive, right? Discount rate is fed to banks directly. And then lastly, they're going to, okay, money from them. What am I going to do? I'm not stealing it. I'm going to give something in return, right? So they're going to sell bonds or assets, right? Right now, you saw the graph class or two ago of the Fed's balance sheet of $9 trillion. And what's happening to their balance sheet? It was dropping. In other words, they're selling off assets in order to get money. And then with that money, burn it, destroy it, right? Yeah, to decrease the money supply. All those things, as we said, going to shift in the supply curve, decrease the money supply, and increase interest rates. What's that going to do for you and me? Yeah, we're going to consume less because borrowing is more expensive to us now. Housing market is really suffering right now because to get a mortgage is 7-8%, and it just a couple short years ago was 2%, 2.5%. So is that on purpose? Yeah, they're trying to slow down the economy. They don't make friends at this time. Now, one thing, monetary policy, when it's expansionary, remember my observation for you that in really bad economic times, if there are lower interest rates, are you necessarily going to go out and buy something if you're really worried about your future? No, this won't always work because people might be really scared. Even if they're lower interest rates, companies might not invest because they're really scared about the economy. We call this cyclical asymmetry. Which part of the business cycle? Business cycle, if it's expansionary policy, where are we at? The business cycle. We're down near a what? Down near a trough, right? Down near a trough might not work. You might need, in addition to monetary policy, you might need fiscal policy, right? Now, when you are what? When you are dealing with inflation, meaning up near a peak, here, the Federal Reserve could raise interest rates to 100%. This will always work. When I was a kid, I've told you in high school, friend bought a car, and what did he pay for interest? 25%. They could raise it to 50%. If there's inflation, the Fed can kill inflation. Full stop. Why? Just raise interest rates so nobody buys anything on credit. When we're in a recession, will lower interest rates always help? Not necessarily, because when you're worried about your own job or business in the future, you might not invest and consume at lower interest rates. We call that cyclical asymmetry. Always monetary policy will work when we're trying to slow the economy. It won't always work when we try to speed the economy. So to finish this up, 3 policies above. Decrease supply of money and increase interest rates. Now, who are they taking money from? Banks and investors, right? Selling bonds to investors, getting banks to create less money. Banks have less money. That makes interest rates higher, and that also causes businesses to invest less in themselves. Fed policy decreases amount of money banks can create and investors have. So it's an odd sentence. Fed policy decreases the amount of money banks can create and investors have, right? Selling bonds is taking money from investors. Supply decreases, interest rates go up, and investment goes down. Let's put investment down here. Now, with those higher interest rates, remember that's going to attract some people to the dollar. They're going to want to move their money from other countries here in order to earn higher interest rates. In what kind of account? Let's go back to that thing where I was flexing. One that's insured, right? One that's stable and insured. So higher U.S. interest rates attracts foreign money to insured savings accounts, increasing demand, appreciating the dollar. Now, note I've said just about every one of these things different every time. It's because you can say it a lot of different ways. I just wanted you to get the general gist. There's some things like this. If you say that, I'm going to be really happy about that. If you say something about banks not being able to create as much money and investors have less money on hand, what I say is I smile on those answers, meaning if I see a small error somewhere else, I go, oh, forget about that error. At least you got that detail right there. So just changing around and adding a little more detail to show you how you can, I don't know, gain my favor, I suppose, in some ways when I'm grading it. Now, I don't look at names. You can't get my favor by being who you are because I grade from the back to the front, not looking at people's names so I can be as fair as possible. And so note, this is going to lessen at exports. How's everything doing? Is everything working in the same direction? Can the Fed always do this? They have complete control of interest rates. They could raise it. Now I'll go even further. I said 100% last time. They could go to 1,000%. The Fed can tank our economy. If there's inflation, don't worry. They'll get it under control. Now, they'll get it under control by making it more expensive for you to borrow. So that is a problem. So AD is going to shift in. I'm going to assume a perfect world, and I'm going to assume we're achieving a what? Yeah. When should you buy a home and take out a loan? When? When we're in a recession with low interest rates, right? Please don't forget that. When should you sell your home? At the highest price, and then do it again and again and again, and you will be a well-off person, and I deserve 10%. Now, what's the worry? What's the worry right now? AD is shifting in. There's less consumption. There are fewer jobs. All that's taking place. Yeah, of actually causing a recession from this. Not likely, but there is that worry. It's possible. If you have anything, well, thank you, everybody.